We're live. Hello, everybody.
Hello, welcome. Welcome to a bit of an unusual stream. It's our first, I guess, kind of video that we've been doing in our new location, which is really exciting. Hopefully, the first of many. I know we've been a bit AWOL in some aspects while this transition's been happening, which has been super frustrating for you guys, obviously, as well as us. So yeah, we wanted to just jump on a video and answer some questions that maybe people have brought up, chat about what we've been up to, show you guys the new space. We've got a lot more room to work with now, which is going to be great. And then, yeah, answer any sort of other questions moving forward.
Yeah, it's been a pretty crazy time, hey? It's the first time we've had to basically put the whole operation on pause for a bit. So yeah, we definitely appreciate everyone's patience, and yeah, we're excited to get back up and running and show you guys what our plans are, and yeah, get back to normal and answer some questions as well.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, if you guys do have questions, pop them in the chat. I'm not anticipating this will be, necessarily a huge stream. I think a lot of people at the time zone will kind of watch it later. But yeah, we just wanted to show you around and kind of showcase, some of the stuff we've been working on. So it's not just this, void. So straight off the bat, where are we? I'm just trying to look through the post. There are a couple of questions there here. Okay, so first off, I've got a question someone posted through. I am not entirely sure how to pronounce your name, and I'm going to get it wrong, so sorry. Jirik? Best guess. Apologies. Anyway, he asked, "Hi, any news on CSX? I'm specifically talking about using a Strymon Nixie through the B6." There's maybe two parts to your question. I'm assuming if you're looking at Strymon Nixie, you're looking to be using CSX passing messages through. So you're kind of just looking for typical MIDI through support. We have that enabled for. I actually haven't tested through with CSX yet, so I think we need to add support for that as well. But there's a firmware kind of update, or I guess feature plan for a future update for allowing better compatibility with CSX layers. So devices which use CSX for explicitly controlling particular subsets of their controls or whatever it may be, as well as passing that data through, because you can get very large streams of CSX coming through. That's all planned to be supported in sort of one of the next high priority features alongside a few others. So what that's probably going to look like is having a chunk of memory per bank that you can allocate to CSX, and you can break that up into multiple CSX, messages or packets, however you like, and then just trigger those via smart messages, which gives you the flexibility to decide how you trigger them, whether it's just on a foot switch or it's in response to an expression pedal or whatever it may be. So that will be coming really soon. Now that we're sort of up, our first priority is getting our manufacturing up and running, which it sort of has been now, and then getting back into the swing of regular firmware updates and new features. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
All right, Jason, you're right. Jason, in April, you had mentioned reinstating the bank reset function, which was previously available standalone unit. I'll sort of just paraphrase a little bit of this. So Jason asking about bank reset and switch resetting switches. So from the looks of it, Jason sort of uses his bridge primarily standalone, doesn't want to use a computer for external editing, stuff like that. Totally cool. Yep, that'll be coming back. I guess it was removed. We culled off a few of the onboard features that weren't. If you'll notice in our onboard menus and things like that, it's very much designed to be mirrored to how the editor is also laid out. So controls are kind of clustered in the same, menus and things like that. Then there are a few onboard things which were, excuse me, very spring here. A few onboard things which were designed to make the onboard editing easier, such as if you wanted to just reset a particular bank or something like that. Great viewing here. So sorry about that, everyone. Sorry. So yeah, there's a few things. We got rid of those to try and maintain more of a parody experience with the editor. But I can definitely see how they're helpful if you just want to have that on-device experience. So yeah, we'll sort of add those back into a submenu there somewhere. Oh boy. Okay.
I don't know if we've ever done a stream where Sam doesn't sneeze. We might have to try and schedule one day.
I'm a very hay fever prone person. I'm very sorry about it. Lawson, I think I've got a preset message from Lawson as well as one in the live stream. So I'll get to first the one you just sent through in chat. So any plans for a Mashstyle foot switch similar to TC Electronics? Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. I'm going to answer that in a second. Simon, can you hold the stream for a minute? I just need to go and reset myself for a second.
Yeah, no problemo. So, yeah, please, guys, keep leaving your questions in the chat. I'm not actually familiar with the Mashstyle foot switch on a TC Electronics pedal, so I can't finish Sam's answer. Yeah, Glenn, we can... sorry, we can hear you. Nobody else has reported any problems with the stream audio. Scott, I'm sure Sam is very blessed by your blessing. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you for the bless you. Apologies. Yeah. Glenn, unless anyone else sort of has an issue, not too sure. But yeah, Mashstyle. It's basically, if you're not familiar, it's sort of like aftertouch on a keyboard where you can have some sort of in between sensitivity, but on a foot switch. So I've seen it implemented in a few different ways from a technical perspective. There's a couple of different approaches you can take. We don't have any plans for that currently. I can see, I can see a use case for it, but we don't have that in the works at the moment. I think it's probably a very, very, very niche use case compared to the expression pedal for that sort of granular sensitivity. And I think as well, from my experience with the mash type foot switches, and also for it to be for it to make sense, I think that you would be compromising in some way, because a MIDI controller, unlike a regular guitar pedal, a MIDI controller, a big aspect of it is kind of lightning fast response and things like that. So we've got a couple of things in the work to kind of go even further in pushing the technology for that real-time responsive foot switches, but you're sort of compromising on that a little bit when you have that sensitivity response. So not as yet. Good question though, thank you. Scott, is there any place, maybe GitHub, we can track reported issues or track fixes in the near future? Yes, we've got
Yes, there's two places.
Yes.
Yeah, there's the known issues link, which is on the learn.piratemidi.com website. Under every release, there's always a link with known issues that sends you to a list of the current confirmed bugs, and I think the unconfirmed ones will also be visible there. They're just ones that have been reported that I haven't got to properly testing out yet to confirm exactly what's going on. And then also you can report bugs through, I believe it's the open beta, the public beta channel on our Discord server, and in the pinned messages you'll find a whole system for reporting bugs with a link to the issues list, and then a form for reporting bugs as well. So yeah, you can find the known issues at learn.piratemidi.com or through the pin messages in the public beta channel there on Discord. So they're the two places.
Yeah, 100%. Lawson was also asking about new products. Yes, we've been sort of teasing a couple of new products for a little while now. I don't think we've necessarily announced them publicly as such, but we will be showing them off very, very soon. I have one in my hands here, and you can look at the back of it. But let's kind of reset a little bit. So one of the big goals of this stream was to just explain a little bit where we've been up to, and that probably leads into a really good chance for some story time. So this, basically, if you haven't been aware of it so far, we've pretty much been the stereotypical, operating out of garage kind of. Scrapping as we go, kind of, business startup, which has been mostly fine up until probably the last 12 months, where it's really started to feel really difficult to grow, to develop our products, to maintain, high quality of support, to keep pushing the envelope in terms of features. And that, has just been something that's been really difficult, but we're just kind of dealing with it as best we could. And it got to this point of, I feel like we really need to make the jump, but it's never felt like there's been a particularly good time. Then we had an opportunity come up through a friend of mine to move into a new space, like an industrial unit style commercially zoned space, which was pretty unexpected, and timeline wise was going to be very short in terms of making a decision and actually moving in. And that coincided with when Simon and I went up to Brisbane for the Pedal Empire Chase Bliss event, the pedal party. So we were there all weekend. We got the keys for the new unit the week before that, and we're starting, in this completely blank concrete space, trying to work out what the plan was, what we're going to do. We didn't necessarily have the time to kind of sit down. Sorry, there's a train line nearby. Hopefully that's not too noisy, but we didn't have the luxury to sit down and meticulously plan every step and really take our time with it while still operating, because it was the transition. I personally moved house at the same time as well, and so everything was up in the air. So we were just kind of putting 12, 13, 14-hour days or more trying to every day to get this up and running and functional, which is why we've kind of been on hiatus a little bit, not able to kind of manufacture, not able to, sit down and do firmware development, take a look at those things. And now we're finally, there's still, as you'll see in a little bit, we'll do a walkthrough and a bit of a, kind of show off the new space. There's still stuff that's kind of disorganized, some spaces that aren't quite set up yet, but we've got space that we need and the facilities we need to really kind of hit the go button on growth, on new products, getting stuff out to you. Probably the last 12, 18 months. In some downtime, I've been spending a lot of time designing, considering some new products and some new hardware that we're excited to bring to you guys. So kind of leading into the new products, we actually hoped to have these two new things out by now, certainly. And all going well, we would have if we hadn't have done this move. They'd probably be out selling and in your hands right now. Which would have been great, but our capacity to manufacture them and to scale that up and to meet the demand and to not have, waiting times for products and a backlog and things like that would have really suffered. And moving forward, that just wasn't acceptable for us. We needed a way to be able to deliver our products to customers quickly without waiting, and provide a really good experience for that, as well as continue to grow and move forward. So that's, for better or for worse, much for better, I think, what we've done. So now that that's kind of, the dust is settling, you guys will be seeing a lot about these. We're hoping to have them out in time such that you can actually receive them and have them in your hands before Christmas, order them as a Christmas present to yourself, whatever, but they'll actually sort of ship in probably in limited stock, but close to when you purchase them rather than having to wait. So that's going to be really exciting. But this little box, if you have any pedal that doesn't involve MIDI, and maybe our click, existing click doesn't quite do it for you. You need more than just a relay control or a TRS kind of switch control. You need some other forms of control over devices that don't have MIDI. This is going to be the box that you're going to want to pick up. It is pretty incredible. And then we also have a brand new foot switch controller based on Bridge OS coming out as well. So that's very exciting.
Lots to be done. Now it's not like, it's so much easier for us now that we're in the new space. It's actually, we've got things to do, places to be that we wanted to be a while ago. So we're going to be going full steam ahead. Hey.
Yeah, that's right. And I think we did most of the fit out ourselves, barring like mains wiring electrical work, which in Australia, not sure about other parts of the world, but in Australia legally you have to have a licensed electrician to do. But apart from that, we've pretty much done it all ourselves. So each kind of week has been dress up playing tradesperson, be it framing. Plastering, painting, whatever it might be. So that's kind of been fun. But yeah, here we are. I don't know if there's many other questions. I don't see any in like kind of pre-written questions. So maybe we'll switch over and do a bit of a walk around. This probably won't be a crazy long stream. We've got plenty to get started, but I want to do a bit of a. Actually, before we do, we'll do a walkthrough tour to sort of finish off. But I also wanted to chat about where to from here. And so we mentioned a couple of new products that are going to be coming out. We've got another sort of 2 or 3 in the works that are in the pipeline, nicely humming away. A couple of collaborations and sort of, partnering with some other really cool brands in the space. But something I've also been wanting to do is getting a bit more of a regular video or kind of content cycle, not just for the sake of it, but as a bit of a creative outlet, which I tend to need, especially if I'm laser focusing in on other things. I need to just be able to, you sort of follow your nose with technology and what might be fun. So there's a few things that I've been working on and looking at how that might make sense. And I think doing revisiting our ideas for some open source products is a way to make that make sense. So, for example, there's some products which don't really make sense for us to build as a mainstream pirate MIDI product and support, because there's so much more to designing and developing electronics than just building the thing. There's the product support and the manual and the marketing and all that sort of stuff that makes it very time consuming and very difficult, even if the product itself is simple. So take like a MIDI through box, for example. We had our MIDI through gizmo. It was designed using 3.5mm TRS jacks, which is fine, but something like that doesn't really make sense for us to market and sell just as a straight, vanilla MIDI through box. But I think maybe revisiting that and putting the schematics and the PCB files up for people to make themselves, maybe as a kit or something like that, is a good example. But we'll switch to top down here for a minute. Where are we? All right, let me rotate that a little. Is it going to let me rotate? No, you'll have to deal with the skew image. Sorry. I can zoom a bit here. So, this is a good example. This is a little fun 3-foot switch MIDI controller that I designed. It's got a 3D printed enclosure. This is a first prototype. The enclosure will look sort of much nicer. But it's built around a feather board, which is a... this particular one is from Adafruit, but it's an open standard that Adafruit have developed. And I designed basically a feather wing, it's called, which is like an expansion board that's designed for MIDI control. And it's got a bunch of, it's got some foot switch connectors. It's got connectors for MIDI inputs and outputs, addressable LEDs, all those good things. You've got USB. You can get ones with built-in, kind of like wireless, all sorts of different boards. And I just thought this would be a really fun, like we don't offer a 3-foot switch controller, but something like this would be a really interesting project to see if there was any interest in it, as basically a no soldering, no coding required programmable MIDI controller, where you could actually, maybe jump on with our editor and, program some messages in there and put your own MIDI controller together without having to have any knowledge of electronics or be able to solder or be able to write code or whatever it may be. So, yeah, we're just going to look at a few things like that hopefully have some creative... a bit of a creative outlet and keep up constant kind of stream and let you guys know what we're working on. So yeah.
That doesn't, and because that's plug in your own foot switches, plug in your own things, that board there doesn't have to be in that foot switch configuration or anything, right? You can do something a bit more just freestyle. Move those switches wherever you want. 3D print your own thing.
100%. Question from Riley. In regard to content, was that something you'd be open to outsourcing artist programs? I'm not 100% sure what you mean there, Riley. By artist programs, I assume you're sort of meaning like reviews and kind of showcases and things like that. That people kind of make their own video and put it on YouTube and then sort of share in all the groups. Is that is that right? If so, let me know. Yeah, just maybe clarify on that one, and get back to me. I mean, we don't do a large amount of like artist kind of affiliation and things like that. Currently, one, because it's a lot of work to manage, and two, I think, and this might land me in some hot water, but I think there's a lot of murkiness in terms of that whole space that goes around currently that isn't something I'm fully on board with, or that I think isn't particularly let me choose my words carefully here, has the potential to be a very dishonest representation in a lot of ways when you have a large amount of social media influencers with written talking points from a brand. They are clearly all using the same messaging and wording, and when something new comes out, you just see gear groups and communities flooded with the same type of video. That's not to say that there isn't merit to that kind of influencer driven marketing model, but it's something I feel particularly strongly about, that there's not enough disclosure. The number of people who get free gear don't disclose that they were given free gear, or that they're even paid to make a video and make it seem like their own opinion, when really it's just talking points from a brand, is pretty horrific and rife in the guitar pedal community. And I feel like maybe I'm not in the minority here, because a lot of people seem to kind of be okay with it. But to me, it can come across as extremely dishonest. And I don't think that's something that is talked about enough. But with all that to say, as we grow and have some more products out there that appeal to different niches and things like that, we're definitely on board with working with artists and kind of getting their views on our products. But if we do that, it has to be an extremely honest, accurate, their own opinions representation of the product, not something that we've kind of paid them or asked them to talk about. I think that's really important, because as soon as you lose the integrity of people
100%.
representing your product, it throws everything else into question.
Yeah. And we're at a size of business where we can't really afford to have that kind of opinion, even if only some people have that view of those kinds of videos. It makes a big deal for us. So yeah, we're just really careful how we go about that at this point. And like Sam said, a lot of time and investment in getting the gear out to people, and like one-on-one tech support for people who've never used our stuff before. And we just haven't been in a position to manage all that at this point. There are now plenty of like bridge reviews on YouTube, all diverse people, none of one of which was sent for free, but we didn't send it to him for free. Like Jimmy, hey worship leader, one of his viewers sent him 2 bridges, but we didn't send them to him.
Yeah, that's right. Like, that's cool. We're not against sending
No.
artists or like YouTubers gear or something like that. That's
No.
totally fine. But if you do that,
Yeah.
you have to make sure it's clearly communicated and is all above board and is done in an honest way that displays integrity, rather than just trying to shill for a product. So that's sort of, I think, all we'll say about that. But that's probably all of the main points for now. We'll do a bit of a walkthrough. I'll switch over my phone and show you guys a bit of the space. Is still a little bit messy in some ways, but if you have any other questions, just shoot them through. We're more than happy to answer. I will. Simon, you're more the guru on this. Can I just join the stream from my phone as another source? Okay.
Yep.
Great.
We'll use your phone audio and everything. Scott says, while you're figuring that out, Scott says, how do you think about making MIDI more accessible to a larger audience in the guitar marketplace? Where do you think a good direction or heading would be for forwarding or changing?
All right, one question in the nick of time. Scott, how do you think about making MIDI more accessible to a larger audience in the guitar marketplace? Where do you think a good direction or heading would be for forwarding or changing the standards? I think that's something we're pretty passionate about. And without, you may disagree, and we're obviously still growing. Ooh, no. Whoa, 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 whoa. No. Sorry, my phone. Are you going to swap over? No, Simon, I would not swap the video over. I'm just holding my phone in a shaky way. That's probably not good. Why can't I route that through my headphones? That's super annoying. I'll figure that out in a minute. Yeah, I think we've done. We do a lot of that. Like, we've got Tones of Technology, the ebook. We've got a bunch of resources out there for helping people get started with MIDI, who may be fairly new to MIDI. I think we were pretty. We sort of pioneered our device library and the number of entries in there, which has been kind of taken up and in some cases copied. That's fine by other brands. But we put a lot of work into trying to make MIDI as open as possible. And if you have ideas on how we could, further that goal, then by all means, we're all for it. But I think all of our products design, existing and also moving forward, are designed to be kind of limitlessly powerful in terms of flexibility and what you can do, but also not intimidating to the new user, and hopefully easy to get up and running.
Yeah, I've got a couple of thoughts
that answers
there.
your question.
Yeah.
All right.
One is that.
Let me swap over to my phone.
I don't think Sam can hear me. Sorry.
I'm trying to work this out. I'm going to leave the stream on here.
So what I was going to say is that I think there's a couple of things there, pitfalls. One is that we've seen with the TRS MIDI debacle before the MIDI organization made it a standard, that manufacturers making their own decisions ended up in actually more confusion and problems. And that's not to say that innovation is not a good thing to be doing, and new ideas to be brushed away entirely. But when you have the MIDI organization, you have thousands and thousands of different products from over 30 years that work with MIDI. We're not in a place where a small company is able to really change things up for the MIDI standard without causing some other problems. Someone big like Yamaha Guitar Group, someone like Roland, those guys who have been around MIDI for a long time, even some of the really big synth brands, if they were to come up with some different idea for something to change the standard, some new ideas, that seems like it would be a more appropriate thing, because it would proliferate quicker. Whereas if we made some kind of we made some kind of innovation, like, I don't know, ring active TRS MIDI, like, that just doesn't catch on. They end up making they're like, oh yeah, we'll put that in the standard, and then it's something completely different, or it's been changed significantly, and then you just end up with a massive family tree of innovation that isn't backwards compatible, doesn't work with each other. And when you've got 30 years of MIDI history, that's just doesn't quite work. Jonathan's just said, while we're on the topic, Jonathan's just said his MIDI 2.0 on our roadmap. At this point, I don't know of more than a couple of $4,000 keyboards with MIDI 2.0 functionality. There doesn't seem to be any massive demand for it at this point. Some of the features sound kind of cool. I'm yet to see anything that really shows it being super helpful.
I'll sorry to interrupt you. I think I would beg to differ a little, in that there are some really cool things in the MIDI 2.0 specification, but as you mentioned, very niche. And the problem with any sort of specification like that is that the early adopters get very little to show for it. Not that it's not worthwhile doing, but it's very difficult, and the uses of it are so niche.
Yeah, and I think I didn't really mean to say that the features aren't cool. I just meant to say is we haven't seen any really excellent ways that that's being implemented that we want to join in with. Like, there's not much out there that would demand our time to be spent on that at this point, because like there aren't any guitar pedals with MIDI 2.0, right? And like currently our product line is pretty firmly in the guitar, in the effects and foot controlled space. That's not going to stay that way in the future necessarily. We've, like Sam mentioned earlier, we've got some really cool products coming down the pipes. But currently the MIDI 2.0 is not a big cry out from the community that we need it.
I think it's something that I'd really like to take a look at and implement, but just from a time and resource perspective, you know, kind of the cost far outweighs the gains at this point. But yeah, I do have some more thoughts on that, but it's probably better for another video. But yeah, thanks for the question, Jonathan. So let's go now. We'll take a look at our space. So like I said, things are pretty messy right now still. It's a bit of a work in progress. I'm just going to kind of move to the front of our warehouse, kind of from the door, and let's take a look. So this is going to be sort of a nice feature wall. Oh, that's for some reason. Let's get rid of that. Nice kind of feature wall entryway. Still under construction there. You've got some paint samples and swatches, some stuff, storage, laser cutter kind of in behind there. But this front's going to be some kind of more, you know, dirtier prototyping manufacturing space. You know, kind of got some shipping, packing shelves, storage. This is Eli. Eli, say hi. Eli is not sort of kind of part of Pirate MIDI, but is a part of a new brand that I'm working on and going to be launching next year, which you guys will certainly hear plenty about, which kind of leads us through to, we've got some very messy and unorganized assembly benches, some prototyping gear, you know, 3D printing, things like that, some workbenches, prototyping benches. Then a really cool space up the back here is our new video and audio production space. So this is predominantly being worked on for this new brand, this new endeavor that have been working on. It's been about 6 years in the making, so it's certainly not just a kind of, you know, drop of the moment, but that's pretty exciting. It's in the audio, it's in the MIDI, in the guitar, pedal and amplifier kind of realm. So this is a pretty nicely kind of sound treated room, you know, kind of black fabric walls, and then a bunch of lighting fixtures still to go in. But yeah, kind of we go through, and there is what will be a kind of a nice organized kitchenette, but at the moment is a bit of a dumping ground for excess stuff. And then this big wall here, which takes up a very huge amount of this space, is our pick and place kind of assembly room, or our clean room, where it's a separate room with doors, fairly isolated from the main areas for cleanliness. So sorry about the shaky camera angle here, but again, still a little disorganized, but we're getting there. A bit more of an echo in here, but this is where we assemble our circuit boards. So, you know, bare PCBs, bare circuit boards. If you're not familiar with what that looks like before it's got components on it, you know, this is a blank PCB. It's a fairly small panel. Goes in and there's no components on it, as you can see. It goes into these machines, which are pick and place machines, which populate the board with components. It goes down, it goes into a reflow oven where it heats up the solder paste and melts it, and then a final sort of finished baked circuit board comes out. So yeah, this is probably hard to get a bit of a, you know, feel for it just from a phone camera walk around, but hopefully, let me just mirror that back there, get a bit of an idea of what we've been up to, sort of some of the new opportunities that we have with a bit more space that isn't a garage and a spare bedroom. And yeah, very excited to show you guys more of it as we keep developing the space and setting it up.
Yeah, very exciting. It's been a huge amount of work for Sam and Eli moving in there. It's can you hear that little feedback type stuff there, Sam? Some weird screechy type thing. I'm not really sure what it is.
No, I can't. I can't hear anything monitoring the chat.
Yeah, okay.
apologies if it's there. Yeah, that's probably all we had for you guys today, unless there's any other questions. We just wanted
There's
to...
no questions in the chat just at the moment. Yeah,
if you guys have other questions after the stream ends, check them in Discord or the Facebook group, wherever you're at, and we'll get back to you. But
cool.
yeah, stay tuned. Lots of exciting things to come, and new hardware, new firmware coming down the line.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys.